All right. Let's see. Not sure if we're actually live yet. Let me check the sound. Sound looks like we got some sound into OBS. Let's see here. I'm gonna disable the YouTube chat, I think, for now on this one. That off. All right. Pause that preview. Let me head to Twitch streaming page so I can see the chat there. All right. And I'll just this one on Discord help with. There we go. Okay. All right. Jumping straight into it today. I'm just working on some PR reviews, so I figured I would jump on the stream in case anybody was interested in following along. So I'm just starting on the contributors page or contributing page on CircuitPython.org. So for folks that don't know, CircuitPython.org, this contributing link here, this is going to list out all the open PRs and issues. So this is real nice if you intend to go on a, to do a bunch of reviews in a row. This is nice because it links to all the PRs for you. So this is where I'm going to start from. And I'm just kind of grabbing PRs that I've seen in the last couple of days. So this debouncer one is one that was kind of on my mental list of stuff to check on. So this is where I'll start. Let's take a look at what's going on in this one. Button short count, long press. Now return a consistent value that only changes when update is called, like Rosenfeld do. This is important for the logic of the debouncer to work, where the status of the button should be stable during a frame. Active down was changed to value when pressed. Clearer name, but does have the opposite logic value. Active down set to true, the active value when the button is pressed is false. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, value when pressed is more clear. Exposed button pressed and released, while rose and fell remain the lower level signal. Note that short count changes value after the short duration milliseconds, so as not to report a double click as a simple click. You would either use pressed released if you don't want to look for double clicks, or short count equals 1 to detect a click, and then 2 for a double click. Is that confusing? I don't think so. I think we'll look at maybe what the previous behavior was. If the previous behavior is like, I mean, that's kind of what it will depend on. If this is a breaking change, perhaps it's a little more confusing, but it sounds like it wouldn't be. It sounds like if you weren't caring about double clicks previously, then you just do the same thing that you were already doing. But if you do care about double clicks, then you now look at the short count value. Check it for being either 1 or 2. Which I think makes sense. And double clicks, I think, is, if I'm recalling correctly, I think that's a relatively new feature anyway, like within the last couple of weeks. But maybe I'm short press counter, yeah. February. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna, this one I can test. I have hardware for this. This doesn't require anything super special, really, just a button. So let's go debouncer. Bouncer. Yeah, we could go new for now. We're in safe mode. because CircuitPy drive could not be found or created. Got the help with channel open over there, so that's kind of keeping an eye on that a little bit as well. So what do we got here? Let's update this. We used to test this. We could test this on the, happen to have this on my desk from working on it the other day. The NeoKey Feather. So this just has a couple of buttons connected to I/O pins. So we should be able to test debouncer with that. Maybe I'll put this other feather though, actually. I have the timestamper running on this. Did use this device previously. I assume that means that they used it previously and it was working as expected. So then my guess is like corrupt storage. Let's grab the CircuitPython docs. I think. Oh, is there a new CircuitPython show today? It's coming out Mondays or Tuesdays? Storage. I'm going to control some NeoPixels with rotary encoder code works except for an index out of range for the tuple. Only have 9 animations in the list, so the rotary value of 10 or minus 10 breaks it. So my instinct is to use modulus here. 1 second, I'll be right back. Okay. Clock stretch here. Alright, let's get back to our debouncer here. I'm gonna switch it up to music here on the other side. There we go. Alright, so I think there's a simple test, right? Or there's a multi. Yeah. Should work for testing. So get device workspace, new window. Okay, so I switched this over, although I didn't plug it in just right. This Feather RP2040 instead of the EFT Feather there. This one we're going to try it out and then also look at the code afterwards. This, I think D12, this is probably not what we want. What are the key feather wing? It's D6 and D9. Key feather wing. These are just wired to 2 pins, and you can change the 2 pins. Here we go. Hey, hey, don't scratch the carpet. Oops. So I think we're having a cat chase down here. D6 and D5, so we can do 5. Back to this. No module debouncer, okay. Lib. Grab our edited code from this PR. Put in here. X also. Okay. So I don't know. I get reloaded quite a few times. Maybe, I know there was a fix recently for that. Some devices, I maybe am on a 2.0 Alpha 1. Yeah, I think there was a 7.3 that maybe had something to do with extra resets happening. Or 7.2.3 rather. Let's go ahead and install that. We might as well. That's from the latest. Let's see, did I get it? Yep. back up and running. Connected. Code's running. D5, I don't know which button is D5 versus D6. Doesn't really matter too much though, we're just gonna try them both. But not that one. There we go. So I pressed that twice and I got 2 short counts, 1, which makes sense. I did it 2 more times. There we go. If I do them quick enough, then we get short press count and a number. And then long press as well. We have, if I press and hold, we get long press. And then that one is like a double press with a long press on the end. So a quick short one and then a hold down. It does look like it's recognizing all those correctly. Let's head back and take a look at the code. Seems like functionality looks good to me. Okay. This is just updating. Git ignore. Do the latest version from Cookie Cutter. Doc mentioned that in the PR. That looks all good to me. Oh wow, okay, added all the doc strings to this stuff. Didn't used to have it, it looks like. Ports pressed and released for the button state. That's multiple short presses, allowing to detect double clicks, triple clicks. Yep, that'll do it too. Had the wrong UF2 for that cutie pie, which I did not even think of before I pointed them to the storage stuff, but yeah. Basically, the cutie pie is the original cutie pie. There's a bit of a quirk about it in that the as released, it didn't have flash storage, like an extra flash chip. But they did, I don't know if they ended up releasing one that has the flash chip soldered, or you can buy the flash chip separately, I know for sure, and solder it yourself. Most devices do have a flash chip included these days. The button was pressed or not in the last update. Maybe let's see, this changed the library. Did this change the... Okay, example did change as well, yeah. But only the multi. Let's double check the other examples also, make sure those still work. Not pressed. 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 Let's turn off not pressed. I usually, when I test stuff in this library, I usually end up doing this so it spams less. Now we can... Okay, let me hold it shorter, I guess, to get less than this. We can see just released, so I'm assuming just pressed also worked. fast. Yeah, there we go. There's our just pressed, and then you can see we looped very, very fast. We got all of these pressed in the middle, and then finally when I let go, get a just release. So that does still seem to work fine as well. Doesn't seem like any major API change. The double click API did, but that was very, very new, and the example has been updated to match, and I suspect that that double click API probably maybe hasn't gotten used in any projects or anything. We can maybe do a quick grep on Learn Guide and make sure that's the case. I do like value and down better. Yeah. Total seems good to me as well, so. So active down, that's one part of the API that definitely did change. So, okay, fell, rose, and value. None of those changed. Released and pressed did, but they used to be leading underscore private. Theoretically, those shouldn't have been used externally. But they can now, actually, with pressed and released. Short count. Yeah. And I don't think necessarily the logic changed here either. It was refactored, but I believe it had the same behavior before. Not 100% positive, but it's kind of how I recall it at least. Let me go to a different one. Let's see, I always forget the name. Is it Adafruit Learning or? Yeah. Alright, what do we got here? Let's update this, and then I'll just do a quick grep on some debouncer stuff. Make sure there's nothing using any of the APIs that changed. Fruit main, I'm going to check it out. I'm going to update it. I think this should happen anyway as part of my update, but let's double check. Okay. So let's see, what are the things that changed here? Reverse files, okay. Those changed. Active when pressed, which has a default anyway. It used to be active down. Down. Okay, got nothing on that. Long showed? I think even though this didn't have the leading underscore, I do think it is more of an internal thing. Let's see. Yeah, we got nothing with that. I think we're probably alright. I'll check this, but okay, just released though. These are all variables just release, not the debouncer. Okay, and this still works the same, I believe, right? Because button changed, but not the bouncer. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I don't think any of that stuff is gonna need to be updated, so I'm thinking we look pretty good here. All right, merge it. Let's make a release too. We'll go, let's see. I mean, I think we'll go 2.0. It's technically a breaking change because of active down. Right? Active down was an argument. Yeah, and so technically this is a breaking change. If you previously had code passing active down, you would need to update your code. So it is breaking change. So we'll bump the major version, even though I think it's probably fairly likely there was not that much code out there, if any, actually using that yet. I don't know why I gave it like a random capital D there. yeah, 160.2.0.0. Have to force an address in and a pull-up resistor. CircuitPython, do I have to say if the var is a float, or once I set data in it? Really, yeah, well, I'm not sure if I understand the context. In Python, though, it's not strongly typed, so you don't have to tell it that it's a float. But we are adding typing to libraries where we are, telling it things are floats, even though it's not a strict requirement. Take a look at this one. I think it's D. Halbert. Check it in. Let me know if there's anything else needed. Okay. I think let's, we might as, I know this one, it's tagged for Dan. Tagged for Dan specifically, but what we'll do is I'll test this out and I'll leave a review and then I'll tag Dan again and give him a reminder that this one's out there and see if there's anything else needed. So this one, though, in order to test it, it will be a little more convoluted. We need to basically build CircuitPython. Actually just closed a little bit ago. Because this library is frozen into the CircuitPython Express build, Circuit Playground Express build. If we want to test variations of it, we can't just on most libraries, you can just copy the code over to the device and then you're done. You don't have to worry about much more. But on this one, because it's frozen into the firmware, if you copy it over, the one you copy over doesn't get used anyway. So we have to actually update it inside of here, and then we can build CircuitPython and flash it on that device. I have a Circuit Playground Express. Let me run and grab a Circuit Playground Express. I mean, I definitely have one, but do I have one readily available is the real question. I'll be right back. All right, and the answer is yes. Okay, so it's been a little while since I did this, and I think actually, whoa, down. I think that we could do it like this. So if we go, let's say, we'll use that later because we're gonna build. Okay, so frozen. Okay, first of all, let's go to main. And let's update as well. And also let's do make fetch submodules. Also make fetch submodules. I was in a weird state yesterday or the day before, but it was, I think, partially updated. Uh-oh, why are we partially updated? Detached head, uzlib. ST driver. So uzlib, that's the one that Mark is working on. Gambler, I don't know what. Know what state I'm in. It might be just about time for a fresh copy of the build environment. do this pull again. I suspect it's not going to do anything different, but just in case. I don't necessarily understand the exact state I'm in. I don't really get why we got skipped 2 down here, so they canceled. Skip 2 repositories, so same thing. Interesting. Alright, well, let's give it a try. If we run into any kind of weird build issue, then start from a fresh one. So inside Frozen, I think I can actually test PRs by going in here into the Python Circuit Playground. I think we can use these commands. Change PR checkout in 14. So now this instance of the repo that's inside the Frozen folder inside the core is now on this branch from this PR right here. So when I make a build, this will be what gets frozen in if the build happens to freeze in this library, which in our case it will, because I'm going to build the Circuit Playground. Oops, LS boards. So that is Circuit Playground Express. We need to build Cricket and Display.io as well. Maybe to verify that they will fit. Oh. First of all, let's do clean. Let's also do this. We found out the other day this makes it way faster. Like 4 or 5 times as fast. I need to remember also, how do you build by language? Translation. Then I think these would be the translations. And I don't recall, I want to say Russian was one of the larger ones. That's a good one to test. You're trying to make sure something will still fit. Okay, so I did get a successful build here. So what I'm going to do is load this on my device. Oops. You know what I always think of when I use a Circuit Playground Express or Bluefruit is Pogs. These things always make me think of Pogs. Which I think maybe are making a comeback. I feel like I saw Pogs in the toy aisle at Target not too long ago. I don't know that they're as big as they once were when I was a kid, but and we go to bootloader. Which one is resets in the middle? I don't actually know. Okay, I see play. Oh wow, that's quick. Alright, 730 alpha is looking alright. So let's see, we just need to test this new touch stuff. Add iterable touchpad functionality. So I think the idea is, okay, touch all, there is an example for it. basically, instead of having to check each one of these individually, now it's iterable. It can be done in a for loop. This is a little bit different behavior, but it's okay. And I think, where can I grab the example easiest? And I think the answer is here. Oh wow, there's a lot. Let's see, what was that called? Touch all? Alright, so it looks like... Whoa. Okay. Big of a change was this? This loops so fast that it's spamming. Yeah, I think this should be a little different maybe. Actually, I think maybe we should print these before this loop. And then here... Well, no, okay, let's see. We'll print these before, and then this one we can, but I think we put it if CP touched. Or touched equals CP touched. This way it can't change in between the time that the if checks it and we print it. Theoretically before, if we're checking this twice, then it could change in between those. Would be like really coincidental timing or whatever, but yeah, here we go. So now it doesn't spam as much. Tells us this at the beginning, but then doesn't print anything else. And so I think we can just touch any of them pretty much. So I touched A3 and we got a bunch of callbacks there. Touchpad's currently registered. I don't actually know what all the touch pins are. A4. Three, 4. There's 3, so those look like they're working. So 2, 3, 4 now is here and here and here. Okay, yeah, and we got those. Nice. Okay. So I do think this should be refactored a little bit, so it doesn't spam as much, so you can actually see what it's doing. Hey, Nerdoc, how's it going? I just checked out your debouncer a little while ago. I don't know, uh, you're catching it from the beginning or how long ago you got here, but I was working on that debouncer stuff, improvements that you made pretty recently, so thank you for that, by the way. It's pretty nice. I like the way that you refactored it. Would recommend wrapping these prints in a statement so that in an if statement. So yeah, we could also put the code, I think, a little bit here. Ears are ringing. Maybe that was my email. Got the sixth sense, the old GitHub sense. Let's see. And this one already has. You know what's weird? I don't think I've ever seen all used before. What is that? All. Action takes one positional argument. So it just takes any iterable? Is that? Interesting. Okay, I think I get how that's working. This works with a list as well. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. All. So it's like an aggregator of Boolean logic. You give it an iterable with like things that can be truthy, and it tells you if all of them are true or not. I kind of like that. I don't think I've ever seen that before. No, that was an option. All and any. Oh, any as well. Nice. Yeah. There's, man, I am now mentally like rifling my way through so much code that I've written that probably would be better suited to use those. I end up just having lots of ands and ors in equals trues and things. That's good. I'll have to remember that. I'm sure I will. I know for a fact I've written code that would be better this way. And I'm sure I'll run across it before too long. That's a good tip. This is one of the nice things about reviewing PRs is like you run across stuff that you might not have otherwise discovered like that. Or also driver stuff, like I play with a lot more sensors that I probably wouldn't if I weren't reviewing, and then later on I can find a use for that sensor and be like, oh yeah, I remember this one PR I tested added this new function or whatever, and now it's the exact right time to use it. Let's do, so I did the basic testing and that does seem to work. Let me build let's build Russian and just make sure. Let's do a clean J4. So this was it translation? Translation equals. Yeah, it's freezing all of these things in. Our one that changed is this. You know what's interesting is it gets a copy of the Bluefruit file as well. We could actually save a tiny bit of room if there was a way for this to omit the Bluefruit, since it will never need it on this device. I don't know if the savings is like enough to be super worthwhile or not, though. I don't know the exact way this is. Like, let's see how much is in that while that's building. Yeah, not a whole lot, but a little bit. Almost 200 lines. I mean, maybe one of these days, the space we could save from that might be worth it. I don't know though. It's kind of like a can of worms to be selectively including parts of libraries, though. It looks like that succeeded. It's like some, but for the pipe and the and operator, yeah. It's a good way to think of it, like summing for addition, but instead it's for logic and. I tested this out. $1,222 bytes. So yeah, I mean that's could be a fairly sizable chunk because if I understand correctly, like it will literally never be used on the CPX. I think it even checks based on the board. Like I think it. In here, yeah. Sys platform is what decides where it gets imported. And so sys platform will always be this on a CPX. Maybe it could be, maybe there's already some kind of optimization for it somehow. Although we saw it in the list there, which definitely suggests it's getting put in. Russian, I spelled that wrong, didn't I? Alright, let's head back to here. It's not small for the CPX, yeah. Oops. Sometimes autopilot to downloads. So let's see, some of these are draft. That's another thing I want to look at today, maybe is, in fact, why don't I take a relatively brief detour here and look into this for a minute. I want to see how this page gets generated. Because I would like to include a thing that says draft on these. Like, if it's a draft, maybe there's the little word draft in parentheses over here or something. Because, like, some of them, like this one, for instance, is in draft. And so it's waiting on some other stuff to get done before it's really meant to be reviewed. So it'd be really nice to be able to see that at a glance on this page. But I don't really have any idea how this gets built right now. I guess, is it part of Adabot? Because the thing is, you just run this and it builds it, so somewhere in the build command it must be actually hitting the GitHub API or something to find all of this stuff. Let's see, this will be in that list somewhere, but I don't really want to go hunt for it. Let's just open this way. make a class that managed the temperature scale from my config and then one that does conversion? I understand that question either. This is all we run in order to build, and I think as part of this, it's going to fetch all of that stuff. So this will give me a local instance, and if I go hit my local instance, I think it will have the same stuff as the live one, or maybe like relatively close. I don't know if this is like doing it straight up live all the way right now, or if it's if the results get cached somewhere each day. So I do know it updates once a day, so we might be like off by part of a day. We might not. It might be live also. I'm not sure. Or it might be just pulling the same stuff because it's cached somewhere. So, 1000. Yeah. And these do look like, yeah, the same stuff. And it's not exactly live because like this one is merged now from before. So it must be not perfectly live. It's cached somewhere. Contributing. Requests. Yeah, here we go. So for library in site data libraries pull requests. So we're basically, I think, as far as changing, we're gonna have some logic right in here that says like, if it's a draft, draw this extra thing. Oh, interesting. This is the pull request page, but it must have been copied, I guess, from issues. So I wonder, site data libraries pull requests. Site. Libraries. What was it? Site data libraries. Actually have a data contributing. So it's weird we don't actually have pull requests in this one. This one? This looks like maybe it's got the navigation and some of the rest of the boilerplate. This stuff up here and all the stuff at the very top. What did I change here? Oh, this is from an old PR. I think this is one of the few that hasn't switched to main yet. Is that right? No, it shows main here. Okay. Like I just don't have main yet. Sometimes I use this thing to get this to update. Yeah, there we go. Alright, we want to go from remote. We don't want to take any of my changes from local. Whatever those were, those are in the past. I don't actually need them. Well, not exactly understanding where these come from. Hellcat preview. Run libraries check. Anything in this for pull requests? Yeah, open pull requests. Okay, sorted PRs. I guess this is probably ultimately what goes into the template. Merged pull requests. Open PR days. Okay, this is where it's calculating the days that go here, looks like. Maybe not though. Maybe this is all... Maybe this is actually calculating the stuff that ends up in the weekly meeting notes. CLI args. Yeah. I think this is gonna be module Adabot. I think this might be the aggregate stuff that's shared weekly during the meeting, not necessarily the page module request cache. Okay, let's see. I was trying to like figure out where this data gets generated so that we could add something to it. Let's just look at what data we have. I'll probably also back on the trail here pretty quick. Wasn't exactly sure what I was gonna find. Data libraries pull requests. And it must be in here somewhere, but we have underscore site, but there is no data. There is a libraries. There's no pull requests inside of that. Just don't know what this is referencing. What if we just try like I'm not actually sure if this is gonna work. Yeah, I think this automatically like knows that I changed that file and it regenerates because of that. Although it's also regenerating because of something inside the IDE folder, which it probably doesn't need to for, but oh yeah. Does that mean it's done? I should do view page source. Okay, here's our object, or whatever we have. So we have the name of the repo, the URL of the PR, the name of the PR, the number of days open, this is almost like a dictionary where the key is the URL and then the value is like the title and the days. I don't know if that's actually what this is, if this is a dictionary. I mean, that's not dictionary syntax, but interesting. Yeah, it doesn't have anything about draft. In days. Okay, last idea I have for now. Dates. Binary file. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Yeah. Is parentheses? Nothing. Okay. That looks more promising. Date CP org libraries. So where does this get used? PR days. Okay, so I think I was in this file earlier, and I think this does look like about the right place, somewhere inside of here. Just broken into like run library checks and DL stats. Okay. I don't yet know where it's getting the days from. I assume it's looking at the date that it was opened and then subtracting the current date. And I assume wherever we do look up the date that it was open, maybe we will be able to also get the draft status from the same place. I assume that's got to come from GitHub API somewhere. Alright, so I'm closer, but not quite sure. We'll leave that back alone and get back onto the main trail here. I'm probably going to test this one today. Got the got a fingerprint sensor. It'll take me a bit to set up for, though, truthfully, because I got to run and grab it, and I don't know how the circuit goes together anymore. Oh, this was another one of Neraduck, I think, right? Yeah. Oh, this one the other day as well. Adds parameters to the Anita macropad that will allow defining a keyboard that's not default US. The parameters are classes, layout class from which the layout is instanced, the code class from which the class constants are taken, assigned to the class property macropad.keycode for use in the code. Okay. Script imports. So I could probably just had a pylint failure because of the way these are inside the try except. Okay, so if you were using a different language, you would... You actually change this, or do you just change the import? And since this references the thing you imported... Whoa. Buddy, calm down. Took, okay, yeah, this is just broken down to multiple lines now. Probably Pylint got mad. Oh, interesting. Huh, I didn't know you could, like, re-enable like that. I've only ever seen Pylint disables. Okay, all this stuff just moved up to here now. Macropad keyboard layout. Okay, so I'll test the, I got my Macropad right here. I'll test the, existing example. Hey, hold on, be back. Okay. Cat mediation successful for now. Alright. Kind of zoomed in pretty far for this, but that's alright. Macropad, I guess, will be in that list too, but I don't really feel like looking through it all. Let's just go here. Oh, maybe not. Let's see, macro. Oh yeah, there it is, Macropad. Yeah, we can go this window. Setup, is that the name of this? Did I get the right one? Add argument, oh yeah, okay, layout init, I see. Layout, the keyboard layout, that makes sense, okay. So we're gonna grab this code, put it in the library. My guess is maybe this means I have an old version of HID. I don't know. Isn't there a way to update it? It won't install it if it's already installed. Installed. To update. Seems like, is there no way? Seems like maybe there's no way to do... This will update everything. Oh, but that's gonna... I should have done no to that one. There was a way to do a single one. Update it. Should have done dash all, I guess, too. Valid input. Doesn't like the YY. Okay. Two more. I was almost to the end anyway. Oh well. Set a simple question about a server that runs PWM code. When I set an angle, I set to go backwards with simply putting minus in front of the angle. Not sure. It would be the first thing I would try, but I'm not sure how it works. Let's see. MacroPad uses debouncer. Debouncer uses ticks. That's a relatively newer version. Okay. So we got back to our original code, which is using the MacroPad library, but only a tiny bit. But it does look like it's working. So once we got everything updated and stuff, we know that there's no, at least backwards, incompatibility. Although this would have updated, actually. Let me copy this back over. Does it delete the py file? No, actually, maybe it is already the updated one. Let's delete this anyway, though, just to absolute certain. Paste this one in. We're definitely on the PR branch, right? MacroPad. Yeah. Okay. That is working. I'll grab some other. Let's see what else is there, though, because there's a specific example for this. It's this one, right? So by default, it should fail because I am missing, yeah, this, which I think we get. I get this from Neradox. Is it HID? Word layouts. Was this I think we needed. Code next as well. Okay, like it's running. I don't know, what does it do? Just press some things. And if I understand correctly, that's the expected behavior because the French keyboard layout, which is what this is loading, has different different characters on different keys. So Adafruit.com here. On the key where we have the colon, they have the period. And I say we, I mean just US keyboard layout. Where they have the slash, where we have the slash rather, they have the greater thans. The Q changed, which is interesting. Do they have A and Q swapped? Part of it is, yeah, it looks like it, huh? Or is that just Azerty? Oh, maybe do they use Azerty? New French keyboard standard? (2009). Oh wow, this changed in 2009? Wow. Man, that is trippy to wrap your head around, like... In and of itself, it's not that crazy. But then you just start thinking about, like, a whole country worth of people who learn to type all trying to change all at once. I mean, maybe not all at once, I guess. It's like, if you buy a new thing, then it's going to have this on it instead. The A and the Q do seem swapped, though. Looks like they have Azerty on the top row, so that does kind of make sense with what we saw. So I'm not very used to doing the other language keyboard layout stuff. I haven't... US layout is the only one I'm particularly used to. And so I've never played with this stuff before. I know Neradoc has done a bunch of great work on it. I would probably not be the one that necessarily is able to recognize if that part of it is not working correctly. But from what I understand, this is doing what it's supposed to do. The other thing we'll check is so one of these... Let's test this one. Zero, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Got A, Shift B, Hello World, volume down. And all of those did work correctly. Seems good to me. Take a quick look in the code. Some of this I looked through already. These I think are just like convenience basically. Now they're on MacroPad so you can access them. So maybe they were there before as well. But now the way that it imports them, it allows them to be changed. In the example. Yeah, looks good to me. see, as well as the pre-existing, which one was it? I don't actually know which one I copied. Let's see. Keyboard, mouse. What? What did I? What did I just do? Oh, okay, I must have gone to a different page. Existing keyboard, mouse, example. Yeah, I'm not sure on the PO stuff. That's what the snooze question in the help with chat here is about. I think we'll say this is not like breaking change, because if you had this running before, it should keep running the same way. But it is new feature, so I think middle number we bump on this. If the new feature now being the ability to easily swap to a different language keyboard layout. So we're going to go 2.1.0. Let's see, allow other language keyboard layouts. Let's see, this release allows changing language of the keyboard layout. An example is provided to illustrate the usage of this functionality. Okay, 2.1.0, 0.06, so 1.0 is definitely higher. All right. Here, what do we got next? I think I did this one earlier. Yeah. This would also be nice as if there was some way to like generate a up to the minute copy of this or whatever, like as you're working on PRs throughout the day, if you could go through this and see stuff disappear. That would be real nice. Yeah, we got a typing one for MotorKit. Okay, imports look good. Int for the address, I2C bus, int float. Doesn't actually say here. WM frequency. So I'm thinking this should either be int or else this should be .0 probably. UM frequency. I'm not super familiar with MotorKit. I don't know that I've used, I mean, I'm sure I've used it in like, I played around with the Cricut a little bit. Circuit Playground Cricut. We have a bunch of docs with the fail to build. I think like coincidentally the day that we did a sweep, read the docs was having trouble or something, and like a bunch of the builds didn't end up succeeding. So we ended up with failed builds. Any of this have PWM frequency? Basically, I'm trying to find a usage of PWM frequency to see if it the float or an int when it gets used, at least. Like I'm gonna find one. Ah. I got the, I just finished up your MacroPad one. That's what I ended up working on. Let's see, motor kit here. Double, yeah, looks like no PWM here either. Okay. Look like it gets used, so I'll just leave the comment. I assume, so it was already defaulted to 1600. I guess the other thing, let's grab this code locally. Let's take a look at some more of the code here. Maybe we can find a usage and see if that helps us. I'm also gonna have to step away for just a minute and run to the restroom. Alright, we'll clone that. Alright, I'll open that when I get back. BRB. Alright. We're back. It's an important step. Now I get to update some, make some updates to the Hotkeys guide. Oh, nice. Show how to switch layouts. Okay. Yeah, I know we definitely get lots of folks always asking about the keyboard to change layouts and stuff, so it'll be nice to be able to do that with MacroPad Library. I don't know, what's the difference between motor kit and motor? I guess maybe this is higher level or something? So it gets set into PCA frequent. Let's see. Let's see, setter. Interesting. I didn't know you could have defaults inside of a property setter. Hmm. Let's look at frequency in here, see if it's been done yet. Just float here. It's more specific though. I mean, can we do type in here? Type? So yeah, 1600. Yeah. Like maybe floats actually don't have decimals or something, but no, I think this one should be. All right. Our name is an int. Channels is a tuple of 3 ints. Stepper name is an int. Turns a DC motor object. Motor 1, motor 2, motor 3, motor 4. So maybe this is like, maybe motor kit goes for a specific motor driver board that has 4 hookups or something? Stepper motor. Let's see, float. This is the same here, I think. UMIO. Interesting that it needed that, I'm not sure. Something to do with Sphinx build. Anyway, that's really the only thing I see on this one. Hmm. I don't, OV5640, I'm not actually sure what that is. I spy? Looks like cameras and stuff, maybe? Sci-fi. Okay. We can probably push to this. I can run pre-commit real quick. I definitely don't have the whatever hardware this is, so I can't test it, and I also don't really understand too much of the code, so my review is probably not worth too much on this one, but I can get it back to passing, probably. So I just learned this trick actually the other day. So I can go pycharm dot. Oh. Pycharm.shell dot. Well, I guess not. I guess it's short. Window. Although now I guess this terminal, oh no, it's not. Okay, yeah, it did deconnect the terminal from that. Nice. So yeah, that's a nice way to open a thing if you're already in the terminal in the spot where you want to open it. Get remote -v, get remote rename origin Adafruit, get remote add. Yes, Lady Ada is probably where this is from. Oh no, it's not. Okay, actually. So if I check out pre-commit run, okay. Digital IO. I'm not used to seeing this. I don't know what this thing is coming from. It's interesting. It's like it intertwined the actions output with the code. It looks like this line of code didn't change with this PR. No, was it used prior? Oh. Just revert it for now. It is here in main. Does it fail in main also? Doesn't. Why does it get used? I see. So, let's see, where are these at? It's 65-ish, if shutdown, if reset. Probably way further down now. So this stuff? Shutdown if reset? Yeah. We used to be creating digital in outs from the things that got passed to us. But now we are just taking the things that got passed to us and they are already going to be digital in outs, which means we no longer have to call the constructor, which means we don't need to import it. So are those the only two places? So, because we saw, yeah, 2 of 3, and the 2 are usages and the 1 is an import. Okay. We're going to go here. Move this. Basically, it just doesn't initialize them anymore. Instead, it just assumes they're already initialized so that we don't have to import that. Just got rid of the import. Like there was only a couple of small format. Okay. Tab there. I'm sure this is probably equally a space after there's some function calls. Sure, new line. Looks like it. Really one word. Type annotations. I'm gonna head out before too long here. Get some lunch and get up and move around, stretch out a bit before the meeting this afternoon. I2C bus returns none. A time gets a time.struct time. I guess we were just importing time separately. Yep. Seems good to me. This one didn't have a lot to it. CF8563. Not sure what device that is. Time clock. Not sure if I have one of those. Oh, default in a property setter. Oh yeah, I had the same question actually. You probably said that a while ago. I kind of spaced out on the chat for a minute, but yeah, I don't know. Not sure how. I mean, I guess setters are technically functions, so you could call it like a function instead of doing like a, property equals and then value. And in that case, if you left off the argument, but then how would it how would it know between the getter function and the setter function? Because the getter function is the one without the argument. So if you didn't pass an argument, I guess it would call that one. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure if there is actually a way that it does ever use the default in a property setter like that. It's definitely seems like an odd bit of code to me. I don't suspect it would break anything. And it is kind of nice to have the default listed there, I guess, for the purposes of the docstring, but I don't know if there's actually a way for it to get used. Go 1.02 on this one. Yeah, still asking about PO and the help with. Yeah, I haven't got around to using PO yet. Let's see. It's been in for a minute, but I don't really understand it, if I'm honest. So I'm probably not the best one to review. I mean, I could try to learn about PO enough to be able to run a couple examples, I guess, and then I could just make sure the examples still run, but that's probably like the extent of the review I could offer on that one, honestly. This one's in draft. I'll leave it for later. This one I think I looked at earlier today, yeah. Just some of the older ones. So this one is a draft. I could keep it as a draft. AQ humidity. Beginning. Let's see. Here as well. Wait. Oh. Nice. Looks like Dan followed up on the CPX thing. Controller pin is not hashable. Nice. Sharp memory. I've seen these ones for a little while now. I don't have the right display for it though. Maybe it's about time for placing an order to get a display. I can look at the code, but it needs to be tested. Oh, I did look at the code in this case, actually. Jeff looked at it as well. I don't know. It's kind of a judgment call. We're probably all right to merge it. We had two people look it over, which, like, if we aren't going to have it tested, it's definitely good to have two folks look at it. This one, I think, just needs tested basically to make sure that no functionality got broken. Pretty sure this was all... Yeah, this was like a CPython, like Blinka type usage update. If I understand correctly, the goal is just to make sure that the CircuitPython microcontroller experience is not broken. So that one, it definitely would be really, really good to get. I mean, it'd be good to get both of them tested, but the second one, I think I'm probably more concerned with there being possible breakage. Good show. Plus some doc strings. I almost wonder if this should default to board.display. It's not really part of this PR, but I can need another variable. Scott's trying to help this person with PO stuff, PIO. Okay, so string, back order alphabetical. Correction. Back order alphabetical int, yeah. True is a boolean, 3 is an int, true, true, forward left top. Look like these are all ints. Look good to me, returns none. Check JSON file, file is a string, returns a boolean. Slide name returns a string. Order returns an int. That's one of those constants. Same thing for setters, an int and returns none, makes sense. It might be nice to make a class. I mean, there is a playback order class, I guess. I don't know. It's probably future state of typing. It might be nice if we had a way to convey here, though, like, yes, it is an int, but specifically it needs to be one of the ints that represent these things. It's not just any int out there. But as far as the type, it is an int type, so I think that's correct for now. Maybe refactoring down the line could change it. It'd be like a class type that is that specific thing instead of an int, although that takes up more room as well. I don't know if it's actually worth it. Reorder slides. This one doesn't return anything. Brightness is a float, returns none. Brightness is still a float when you access it, makes sense. Float when you set it. Fade up returns none, fade down returns none. File name is a string. Returns a label, so this one takes a string and creates a label. I think it's in a string of a JSON file name, and then returning a label that has the text that it found in that JSON loaded up. It can do color and a couple things as well inside of the JSON. Maybe size as well. Update returns a boolean. Advance returns a boolean, which makes sense because this also returns from here. Each line is an int. Takes an int when you set it, returns none. The line is an int. Takes an int when you set it, returns none, makes sense. Docs.conf. So display.io and PWM.io are core modules. Makes sense to me. These, I think, might not need to be included in this slideshow. I think we could just, I don't think those need to be in mock. And in fact, I think if we remove them from mock, darn it. Open. Oh, weird. It's just not in the same spot. Interesting. Usually when I do open, I guess it's because I opened it with that terminal command, huh? Maybe that's the downside. Yeah, I mean, CircuitPython bitmaps certainly do. Display IO. Get item, set item. Does that get fixed by this? Doesn't. I still get the same error. This is like a new version of Blinka problem or something? Old version of Blinka problem, I guess. Same. Pass here. Like a display IO problem? Oops. Oh, this is the wrong library. It's just Blinka. There's a few more. Honestly. Huh. Interesting. So having Blinka display IO actually was causing it not to be able to build. Yes. And font is not defined. But I think map font and display text. I think if we install both of those with pip, then this will still build. That gets me back around to the display IO problem. All right. All right, well, maybe I was wrong. I was thinking if we had those installed that we wouldn't need to mock them, but here's my understanding is not correct. It's weird that Blinka display IO, or I should say it's weird that Sphinx thinks that bitmaps can't have their things changed. It does have a set item. I'm not sure why it's coming to that conclusion. And yeah, I mean, they definitely can be changed because the code does that. Almost like it is maybe finding the wrong bitmap somewhere. Different bitmap that's not mutable. Alright, we'll release this one, and then I think I'm head out for now. I need to still fill in my note stock stuff. I don't think I filled in this week. The meeting is coming up in about an hour and 10. So I need to fill out my note stock stuff. I need to eat lunch before the meeting. And then I also need to switch OBS over to record a backup. I've been recording backups of the meetings each week, which has a different setup in OBS. I have to change scenes and open a couple windows, and also tinker with all the volumes to get it to feed through the desktop and everything. Tag 174. Alright, got it released. Let's look here. I probably should have tried to keep an eye on this. Sometimes the releases end up causing the actions to fail. Wasn't actually watching for it. See any fails? I guess email is another good place to check. Let me do that real fast. See any new failures? Hopefully we're good. All right, I'm gonna head out for now. For folks that are interested, if you want to join us for the CircuitPython weekly meeting, that will be in about an hour and 10 minutes over on Discord in the CircuitPython dev channel. So that's where I will be. I probably won't be back streaming in the afternoon. Some Mondays I have streamed in the afternoon after the meeting, but I don't think I probably will be today. But I will be back Friday evening for the deep dive on the Adafruit Twitch and YouTube channel, so that's the next place you can catch me. And then Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time are my normal streams, and you can follow me over on Twitch if you want to get notifications for those. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all later on.